Welcome to I Can't Sleep. This is a place that archives fragments leaked from nightmares humanity was never meant to remember. This channel is for those drawn to cosmic horror, a genre where fear doesn't come from death, but from realizing you never truly understood reality in the first place. As the title says, today I'll talk about Lovecraft, everything you need to know as a beginner. Or in other words, the man who turned madness into an entire genre. This isn't a scholarly biography. I won't walk you through every detail of his life. I just want you to understand why someone like Lovecraft could imagine an entire universe. Howard Phillips Lovecraft. Born in 1890 in Providence, Rhode Island, a frail, isolated man. He spent his childhood reading mythology and writing letters to imaginary friends. He didn't live in our world. He lived in dreams that stretched on for years. Dreams of creatures without form, of gods without names, of fear that language could not describe. Lovecraft was depressed, socially anxious. He wasn't famous. He didn't have many friends. When he died, almost no one knew his name. But nearly 100 years later, the world began to read him without even knowing they were reading Lovecraft. Lovecraft didn't write ghost stories. He didn't write about demons. No gore, no jump scares. What he wrote was the utter indifference of the universe, about entities so vast that merely knowing of them means you are no longer human. And from that, a new genre was born. Cosmic horror. No monsters to kill, no logic to hold on to, only truths that your mind is not meant to endure. Lovecraft passed away, but those who followed him took very different paths. August Derleth, the man who helped spread the mythos, he introduced the ideas of good and evil, things Lovecraft himself never emphasized. Ramsay Campbell, a British writer who portrays fear as a lingering depression, foggy and oppressive. Thomas Ligotti, who brought nihilistic philosophy into cosmic horror. Humanity should stop reproducing. The world should end in silence. Caitlin R. Kiernan, who writes soft, wet, twisted dreams. Not Lovecraft's kind of horror, but horror that comes from within your own body. Brian Lumley, a storyteller who rebelled. He let his main characters fight Cthulhu. Not true to the original spirit, perhaps, but it brought many people into the mythos. Each one opened a new door. And behind those doors, Lovecraft is still whispering. And then there's another group. People like me and maybe you. We don't write novels, we don't run publishing houses, but we retell, expand, remix, and rebuild that world through images, videos, podcasts, games, and fake documents. We don't carry the torch, we're just trying to keep the fire alive in the dark. Lovecraft once said, "The oldest and strongest emotion of mankind is fear, and the oldest and strongest kind of fear is fear of the unknown." And it's true, fear is not the enemy. It's the oldest survival tool we have. It's primitive reason, not weakness. Fear keeps us alive. It keeps us cautious when we stand at the edge of forbidden knowledge, but it also holds us back from taking that next step. Lovecraft understood this. To him, fear wasn't a reaction. It was the final limit of being human, the last trace of humanity, the last gift that a finite species could bring when staring into the infinite. We've overcome fear before. We crossed forests, crossed oceans, reached the moon. We climbed mountains, decoded our genes, stared into black holes. Fear gets pushed back by reason, by science, and yes, by recklessness. But in Lovecraft's world, overcoming fear isn't always an act of courage. Sometimes it's a step you can never come back from. But then, you'll have to live forever with the thing that fear was trying to protect you from. To overcome is evolution's instinct, but in this universe, sometimes survival is the punishment. The entities in Lovecraft's universe, they're not gods in the way humans understand. Not like Odin, not like Lucifer, not like any final boss you've ever faced. They have no morality, no purpose. They don't rule, they don't punish, they don't bless. They simply exist, like a storm, like a black hole, or a strange echo from the other side of reality. They don't stand for anything. Not good, not evil. They transcend cause and consequence. And their mere existence is something the human mind was never meant to accept. Some of the most iconic beings include Cthulhu, the dreamer beneath the deep. Maybe you've never read Lovecraft, but you've probably seen him somewhere. A giant tentacled creature, humanoid head, bat-like wings, on t-shirts, in video games, memes, tiny plastic figurines. Cthulhu has escaped the page. He's no longer just a character. He's a symbol now. A symbol of what we can't comprehend and probably shouldn't try to name. As for me, I first met him by accident. I typed Call of Duty into Google and the top suggestion was Call of Cthulhu. But mythos, the blind entity that lies at the center of chaos, if such a thing as center even exists. Nyarlathotep, a shape-shifting being who communicates with humanity, but never in a way we'd want. Shub-Niggurath, often called the black goat of the woods with 1,000 young. But her true nature? No one dares to say for sure. Yog-Sothoth, described as the gate, the key, and the guardian of the gate. A phrase that sounds simple until it drives scholars insane trying to understand it. Of course, there are many more, names that should be written but never spoken, and never ever trusted to offer protection. Cosmic horror isn't for everyone. Many find it confusing, frustrating. They want a monster they can fight, a clear scare, a logical ending, and when they don't get it, they walk away. But a few, a rare few, walk toward the fear. Not drawn by blood or jump scares, but by strange dreams, forbidden knowledge, and rituals best left forgotten. Maybe you are one of them. And if that's true, then everything you've heard so far was just the prologue, a stroll on the shore of forbidden knowledge. Follow this channel if you want to go deeper into books that shouldn't be read, and names that shouldn't be spoken. And no, there's no boat. We'll have to swim.